Viu? Você achou que eu só tinha camisa vermelha? Só aquela camisa vermelha? Eu tenho uma camisa verde. Vamos ver quantos dias que eu vou usar esse aqui. Ó, um vídeo chamado I Built a Tiny E-Reader. É um cara que construiu um pequeno leitor. E-Reader é tipo Kindle, essas paradas. Um pequenininho leitor. Vamos ver? Vem comigo, vem. Let's go. Hoje eu terminei Isotopia, hein? Tudo em inglês também. Ah, vai tirando, minha filha.
I built a tiny, fully functional e-reader. It's 3D printed,
Eu construí um pequeno, completo e divertido e-reader.
battery powered, and designed to do just one thing: help me
Olha que legal, olha.
start reading again. In this video, I'll show you how I built it and how you can make your
Peraí,
own.
ele salva?
It's 3D printed, battery powered, and designed to do just one thing: help me start reading again. In this
Help restore video again.
video, I'll
Ah, me ajuda a ler de
show
novo,
you
tá?
how I built it and how you can make your own.
Só comprar um Kindle. Apenas compre um Kindle.
I've never really been a big reader. For me, it was always hard to sit down in the evening and focus on a book. There were just too many distractions. And still, I
Tá, ele nunca gostou de um livro mais alto, mais alto, um livro grande, porque é desconfortável pra ele e distrai. Ele pega o telefone e vai mexer.
like the idea of reading more. Then I noticed something. The perfect time for me to read isn't at home, it's in between. Waiting for the train. Standing around while my dog is sniffing something. Those random 5-minute gaps during the day. But carrying a full book with me all the time just isn't realistic. Reading on my phone doesn't work either. And a normal e-reader? It's still another big device I don't want to carry around. So I needed something different. Something small enough to always have with me. No apps, no notifications, just text.
Tá, ele quer um lugar para ler sem aplicativos, sem notificações, apenas texto. Por isso que ele vai criar um menorzinho lá. Como um e-reader atualmente funciona?
But before
Normalmente
building
funciona.
something like this, it makes sense to answer one simple question. What actually is an e-reader?
Tá, o e-ink, que é a tinta, né? E usa pequenas microcápsulas completas com preto e branco, com preto e partículas brancas que movem com cargas elétricas para formar o texto. Resumindo, não entendi nada, porque não faço ideia, mas vamos que vamos.
In its most basic form, an e-reader
Once arranged, não sei o que é arranged, eles ficam em um lugar sem consumir bateria.
is just a device with an e-ink display that shows digital text in a way that feels almost like paper. Instead of emitting light like a phone or tablet, an e-ink display reflects ambient light, just like real paper. That's why it's so comfortable to read and incredibly power efficient. To build one, you basically need three things: an e-ink display, something that controls it, like a small microcontroller, and a battery. My goal was simple: build it as small as possible, but still fully functional. When you look at what's available on the market, you can find plenty of small e-ink displays.
Mano, eu acho muito legal essas pessoas que cria, pessoas criadas, não é criacionista, pô, criacionista é pessoas que creem em Deus, mas tipo assim, que cria as coisas. Eu acho muito legal isso, que mexe com essas baterias mecânicas e coisas pequenas, igual ele vai criar um treco, velho. Ele vai criar um treco que ele pode gerar uma patente no nome dele e aquilo lá ele vender. É muito louco isso, cara. A pessoa criar do zero as coisas. Igual teve um muito legal que eu não sei se foi um brasileiro ou foi um gringo, mas criou uma luva que as línguas, tipo assim, vai fazer assim, o sinal em libras é oi, né? Oi. E a luva ela fala, dependendo do sinal que ele fizesse. Ele faz A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Não. JKRNOPQRSTUVWX É isso mesmo? Ah, rapaz. Vai tirando.
place. But once you add a separate microcontroller, a breakout board, charging circuitry, and a battery, it quickly becomes much bigger than I wanted. Then I came across a module that basically combines everything. It's an e-ink display with a microcontroller already built in,
Tá, esse é o módulo que vai combinar tudo.
including charging circuitry, so all you need to add is a battery. For a project like mine, that was pretty much perfect. Before writing a single line of code, I wanted to design the physical device first. I wanted it to feel like a real product. No visible screws, just one USB-C port and a single button to control everything. Battery life was also crucial. My goal was at least 2 weeks of normal, everyday use. Almost immediately, I ran into a problem. The display already has 2 buttons on the back, and I wanted to use one of them to control the device. The issue was that right behind that button sits the battery, which makes it almost impossible to simply move the button to the front without increasing the overall size. I could have desoldered the button and redesigned the whole control system, but that would have made the project much harder to replicate. I wanted to keep it simple, so instead of solving it electrically, I solved it mechanically. I designed a small internal mechanism that transfers the pressure from a button on the top of the case to the original button.
Pessoas que mexem com 3D também. Não só desenho 3D, essas coisas. Impressora 3D.
On the back of the display. It took a few iterations to get the travel distance and the tactile feedback right, but in the end, it felt surprisingly precise and satisfying
Nossa, mas
on the back of the display.
ele fez um monte, ó.
It took a few iterations to get the travel distance and the tactile feedback right,
Tá, ele fez algumas iterações vendo a distância para ter um feedback.
but in the end, it felt
O feedback certo, né?
surprisingly precise and satisfying to use. And that was important to me, because even though the device is small, it should still feel like a real product. Once the case was finished and everything fit together properly, I could finally focus on the firmware, which was definitely the most complex part of the project. The first thing
Trazendo
I
a
needed
vida.
was a simple and intuitive menu structure. When you turn the device on, it opens to a small library view where you can see all your uploaded books. When you open a book, you can read it just like on a normal e-reader, with a small progress bar at the bottom. And of course, the reading progress is saved automatically, so you can always continue where you left off. Then came the bigger question: how do you
Ó, salva automaticamente, cara. Não, legal demais, cara. Eu compraria, se fosse tipo assim. Depende do preço também, né? Comprar um negócio desse. Mas eu compraria. Leria? Não compraria.
even get books onto a device like this? The reader can display basically any book that isn't protected by DRM, which is a form of digital copy protection used by some publishers. For my workflow, I used a free tool called Calibre. It allows you to convert an EPUB file into a simple text file, and that text file can then be uploaded to the device. I didn't want to rely on a cable for transferring files, so I built a small wireless upload mode. When you activate it in the menu, the device creates its own Wi-Fi network and displays an IP address on the screen. You simply connect to that network, type the IP address into your browser, and a minimal upload interface appears. From there, you select your text file, hit upload, and that's it. The ESP isn't the fastest device in the world, so sometimes it takes a few seconds. But overall, it works reliably and does exactly what it's supposed to do. Once the upload is complete, the book appears in the library, ready to read. After reading my first few pages on it, I realized this device isn't just interesting for novels, it's incredibly useful for learning. Sometimes you come across a paragraph you want to remember, a quote you don't want to lose, or a page you'd like to revisit later. So I added a bookmark function. If you press and hold the button while reading, the current page gets saved instantly. But I didn't want those bookmarks to live only on the device. Realistically, you might not revisit them there very often. So I built it in a way that all saved bookmarks are also accessible through the browser interface. That means you can open the
Nossa, ele adicionou um negócio até para salvar anotações, cara. Nossa, muito interessante mesmo.
upload page on your computer and copy your saved passages from there. It turns the device into something more than just a reader. It becomes a small offline quote collector. Battery life was another important aspect. Since the whole idea was to have something you can always carry with you, it needed to last. I implemented a deep power-saving mode where the display only consumes power when updating and the microcontroller goes into sleep mode whenever it's idle. With a 1500 mAh battery inside, 2 weeks of normal use turned out to be completely realistic. You charge it via USB-C and then you basically forget about it. Because the entire case is 3D printed, you can customize it however you like. Different colors, different materials, matte, glossy, whatever fits
Ah, você pode usar. Legal, dá para carregar no carregador normal.
your style. The internal design stays the same, but visually it can become something completely personal. What I like most about it is that it's small enough to always have in your pocket, whether you're waiting for the train,
Tipo C, a
standing
entrada.
somewhere with a few spare minutes, or taking a short break outside. Those small windows of time suddenly don't feel wasted anymore. It's not trying to replace a full-sized e-reader, and it's not trying to compete with a tablet. If you'd like to build your own version, I've put together all the print files, the firmware, and
Não tem nem como competir com um iPad, com um livro, em questão de quantidade de página. O ruim é que fica muito maçante. Não vai ficar tão maçante se você tem tempo para ler. Você pega, senta na cadeira e lê um livro. Você abre o livro e lê. Mas esse negócio é só para você ter o hábito, criar o hábito da leitura. Você lendo pouco a pouco. Porque se você for ler muito também desse negocinho aí, vai cansar sua vista, vai ser maçante.
a detailed step-by-step guide on my code, so you can recreate the entire project or adapt it to your own ideas. And who knows, maybe this tiny device will help you start reading again too. By the way, the total cost of this e-reader was around $30, about 20 for the display module and roughly 10 for the battery included. And before I forget, let me quickly show you how easy it is to assemble.
Hein? Barulhão. Mano, eu achei interessante demais, cara. Muito bom, muito bom, muito bom.